Oluwaseyi is with me tonight.
Yes,
Welcome to the second episode of the series, the Momentum series. Amazing. Last week we started with igniting the spark. We had a guest from the Greenmore Global Divine Favor Olorundare. It was a wonderful session. Despite the network glitch and all, we were able to skate through. We had a nice and wonderful conversation last week with Divine Favor Olorundare, and tonight again, your very known face is here tonight, Oluwaseyi Akanbi. So it's going to be a wonderful conversation. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, you are welcome. Good evening, Mr. Sheyi. Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. It's great to be here again.
Amazing. It's good to see your face. How's UK? How's everything over there?
Doing fine. We're doing fine. Everybody's moving in the direction they want to move.
How do you see it if you just try to switch government, like Nigerian government come to handle UK and the UK government come to handle Nigeria? So how do you see that? How will you like it?
I'm thinking of how to put my thoughts into words, but definitely, if we retain the institutions here, if we are only swapping politicians, I think most of Nigerian politicians will not survive here. So most likely the UK will still remain the UK, and at the same time, the ones we are swapping, the ones we are taking from the UK, will have the great task of building or rebuilding, the institutions in Nigeria. So I think it will eventually be a win-win. Just that, you know, maybe not a win-win outrightly because the UK is a very progressive country, and they have a blueprint when they say a master plan for every sector of the economy. If you talk about energy, they will tell you that by 2030, 2040, they don't want to use um, fossil fuels, they want renewable energy. They tell you that by 2030, they want to create jobs in certain industry. They want to create 1 million here. This is a country that have an idea. They have an idea of where they are going. You know, in transport, they will tell you by so we'll be able to connect certain areas in the UK. You know, in fact, every forms of life, we'll be able to have built houses. We'll be able to. They always have these progressive ideas. And I think one of the things that supports their progressiveness is the fact that there are institutions. So it will be very difficult for a Nigerian politician to corrupt the institution in the UK because there are whistleblowers. There are people who will not agree and who will be willing, no matter how much you offer them, they are very patriotic. They will never agree to sell out their institutions. So eventually, that's what I just think. I think if we just swap the politicians, the UK may not progress as they would want, but it's not like things are gonna just get bad immediately. And in Nigeria, on the other end, you would see tangible, changes in institutions. All these repetitive, institutions that you have Ministry of Women Affairs, you have Ministry of Humanitarian Disaster Management, you have ministries doing the same thing, and Under those ministries, you have about 3,000 employees. Half of them are not even doing the job. You don't have that in the UK. Mm. One thing that is common in the UK is change, especially in the government institution. They create new roles, they delete roles, they delete, pre-COVID, there were some there were some problems that they needed to solve, and post-COVID now, new problems. So you see that change. You see people moving from one department to the other. Nobody can authoritatively say, "Well, I'm appointing someone here. This is my slot." All of those shenanigans we have in Nigeria. So those are my thoughts, really. Then if you say if we swap Nigerians, it's still the same. Nigerians are one of the best behaved in the UK. One of the best behaved. So that you can say I'm being sentimental, but I know. I mean, we Europeans, Polar, Polish, we have Australians, we have different. The UK is a multicultural society. So the UK is a multicultural, and I think Nigerians are one of the best behaved. So if we swap indigenes, you will also find that uh, the native British people, because they will not be comfortable with the way Nigeria is, the way some of our cities are smelling, some of those, you'll find that there will be, some level of growth, that is community development. And here in Nigeria, if Nigerians are here, they will just want to retain the status quo at best, because of stronger institutions that will keep everyone accountable. So that is what I think, sir.
Wow. Now you will see that very odd that we have a conversation this evening and there is a topic we are to be discussing about, and we are talking about this. Now, because I was thinking about it, like what we do in Minecraft Africa is generally we uh, we are laboring towards seeing a new Africa. And that is why this mindset thing is the foundational work that we need to get doing to see the result or the change that we aspire. Now, in your intro, because I made that question your intro for tonight, because I know you are a person of reason, and I like your philosophy, very wide, and I mean you are not a narrow-minded person, so that's why I have that question. Now, moving forward from there, tonight on this conversation now, we'll be discussing building the wave. We are talking about the momentum. Like I said last week during my introduction, that momentum is the goal, but it does not just start like that. It started from an ignition. A car of, let's say, 250 kg accelerating at the velocity of, let's say, uh, 200 meters per second, we have a momentum of 200 by 250 kg, as I explained last week. Now, if there is no velocity, if there is no movement, and there cannot be movement of that car without igniting the car, it all starts from ignition. Before the car could not accelerate from zero and progressively like that. But if there is no ignition, there won't be momentum. So last week we have talked about the ignition. Last week we talked about igniting the spark. And now we have ignited the spark. What part of it is still part of the process, igniting the spark. We are setting the minds of people alive to see the possibilities that Africa has, to see the potential that is locked up within Africa. Now, tonight, we want to take it further. We want to build the wave. One of the major components of fire is air, oxygen. If there is no, the fire cannot be sustained. So that is why we're having the conversation tonight. And Sheyi is a person that is well read. If there is anybody that have motivated me to read in my life, I mean, I cannot forget. It's just like yesterday, if not like 10 years ago. I mean, you don't like 10 years ago, 11 years ago. It should be like 11 years ago, 2013, 2014, or thereabout. You gave me 400 or 450 books in one night. I read. Ah, me, I love reading before. And most of those books, in fact, some of them I will not finish it, but the one I read, I have to. No, 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 no. And whenever we meet to talk, the sharing, like this man, yeah, we talk about this topic. So the other time people ask me that, how come that you know about different topic? I say, oh boy, it has been over the years, this particular topic. Bidding the wave will be someone that we have seen gather the waves over the years. So, Mr. Sheyi, tonight you have the floor. You are welcome. You are welcome.
Mm.
Over to
Thank
you,
you
sir.
so much. Thank you so much. How do I please push this? Can you help me with my slide?
Okay, there you go. You have
Yeah.
it.
So we'll be talking about riding the momentum. We've already spoken last week about the stats. The stats. Although I'll still be talking a little bit about that. But without further ado, you see here, yeah, it's been said that the initial spark of momentum is exhilarating, but the true mastery lies in building that energy into a powerful and sustained wave of success. Let me tell you what this means in real life. Um, I'm sure for those people who have watched the movie Open Hima, it was a I think 2 up to 3 hours movie on the discovery of atomic bomb, a nuclear bomb, all of those things. One thing I want to point out is that there is actually no success until there is a reproduction of whatever you call breakthrough. Imagine the Wright brothers. They had only, they had only built one helicopter, and they don't know how to build another one. Are we going to say they were successful? Obviously not. Success is in the reproducibility. In other words, whatever it is that you are building, if it is not sustained, it does not have a future. So, whatever it is you are building must have eternity. I'm just saying eternity, but I'm saying that in the DNA, it must carry the ability to stay and be relevant in the future. There are people we can never forget in the history of mankind: Henry Ford, Nikola Tesla, Thomas Edison in the field of economics, different kinds of people. Even in medical science, we talk of people that lived before Moses in the Bible, people that lived before Elijah. We are talking of Socrates, those that started herbal medicine. You know, we are talking of Hippocrates, thought leader, those that they were the foundation of organized learning, you know. So why is that so? It is because whatever it is they had done, the initial spark was sustained. And see, one thing I would like to tell you is that you may not be the one to continue to sustain the momentum. Let me tell you, you need to know the role you are playing in the spectrum of things. Some of you, or some of us, we are like the igniter. Maybe, I mean, it took about, is it not 67 years for us to finally develop a polio, smallpox,
Vaccine.
not polio, smallpox. In the
Vaccine.
yeah, in the days of our father, once you have smallpox, you are dead. You are good as dead. In fact, one of the we call pandemic, global pandemic in the world was smallpox. And I remember reading the account of, imagine now, who remembers John G. Lake? Nobody really remembers John G. Lake except for those people who read about it. Why? Because during the time of smallpox, John G. Lake is, for those who don't know, is an healing evangelist. Yeah. So he will go to some health centers, pray for them, smallpox will leave. At some point, he said they should extract his blood. It contained antibody there, and according to reports of that day, he worked. He was very popular for that. Was one of the era of the move of God in the miraculous. It was so overwhelming, but the people, the persons that we know, that we still remember, are those that developed the vaccines itself. Why? This is not to mock the power of God. I am saying that God Himself had created a system, a momentum system, a system that can sustain some of the possibilities that we can find in Him. Eh, my brother here would share that in some centuries, it was only if you say something as big as 10 houses can stay on water, it would have been, people would have thought, okay, that has to be the hand of God. I'm telling you. So, but that possibility is in God, but the channel is in science. The stream by which God wants it to, become because it is until it is reproducible that what the excellence of God is seen. You go to some cities and you see that you see how much of wisdom God has poured into mankind. So, guys, when we say momentum, we are talking sustainability. And we are not just talking sustainability as a form of status quo. We are talking a progressive sustainability. That is momentum. When you see someone is gaining momentum, it means that the person is becoming bigger. The person is going forward. That is momentum. So building the wave. And that is where we'll center our message. How exactly do you build this momentum? It's like building to last. So I'm going to repeat this again. The initial spark of momentum is accelerating, but the true mastery lies in building that energy into a powerful and sustained wave of success. You see, building the energy. I remember I read a book by Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts, academician, pastor, preacher, was also someone who worked in the miraculous, you know. And he said something. He said something he has found for in his ministry is that some of the miracles that people say God has done through him, he can recreate it. he can recreate it. In other words, it's like saying that I have a formula. If I want to cast a demon, I have a formula. If I want to do this, I have a formula. Because it was in an interview show, people were like, sometimes we see other preachers, other men of God, you know, they have seasons in their lives. He said, see, he does not have season because he has taken time to understand the creative uh, process of the miraculous, how to create it, whether in sleep, whether at wake. We don't need to sing. For some people, you need to sing, you need to do a lot of 15 minutes. They say, let's just saturate the atmosphere before anything can happen. That is not Oral Robert. He was spontaneous in his life, in his ministry, because what? He was able to understand how to build, how to create that energy into a powerful and a sustained. So if I were you, I will highlight building the energy. I will highlight sustained wave of success. So how to build and sustain the wave of success? Number one is define your North Star. You know this principle about North Star. You know, this is like your core strength. Your core strength. Your core strength. Where your passion is. You need to define your core strength, your passion. That is your North Star. So that is where everything begins. Maybe that's the spark. So that is where the spark is. That is your long-term vision. So when they say North Star, it's talking about a long-term vision. It's talking about the I don't know, for astrologers, North Star, a very big star, you know. So define your North Star. In other words, know where you are going. The problem we have with some of us is that we are trying to build many things. In fact, at some point, we get confused at what exactly are we building? It is because there is no vision. I have heard people speak, and sometimes I do not see a clear vision. I do not see someone that knows where he or she is going. I sometimes look and I'm like, okay, where exactly is this person going? And you also see the confusion in how they communicate, you know, some of the things they are saying. So take time. It might take time, but define your North Star. Define your long-term vision. Break it down. I'm going to share a story of someone we know, and I'm going to use this as sort of like a case study. There is a man, very popular billionaire in Nigeria. I'm sure that he will be one of the billionaires in dollars. Just that, sometimes some of these our Igbo people, they do business that people are not aware of. So I'm speaking of Dr. Cosmas Maduka. He said when he set out in life, he did not set out to fail. He said he knew, there is a knowing, because see, some of these things, they are product of reflection, mindfulness. They are product of versatility, depth, whether depth by reading, depth by association with people who have a great sense of reasoning, people who are very, very wise. He said he wanted to build something very big. I know there are big business, Igbo business, but I think one of the biggest in West Africa, in fact, the business has grown that we can say is an African business. I mean, they bought a company, an OEM company in Japan. So it's a global company. One of the biggest global businesses owned by an Igbo, started from the scratch, first generation, is Kosharis Group. And he said he doesn't just want to, I when I was in Nigeria, I worked closely with businessmen, traders, in the Lagos market. Some of them they've been owning that shop for 15, 20 years. In fact, the ones that are quite even better, they now have another store in maybe each central market in Nigeria. Like they have they call it Ari market in Abia State or in Aba. Some of them have in Kano, they have in Kaduna, they have, while some for 20, 25 years, they've only been in Lagos Island. They are making money. Oh. The problem is not that they are making money, but the problem is the vision. And I know some that they are just 5 years into the business. They are already thinking of maximizing their network. They are going to China, having meetings. They are getting professionals together, getting medical doctors, looking into body of research, thinking of, okay, so how they can solve medication shortages in Nigeria, particularly affordable medications at the primary care center. That is another thinking that is very scarce. But why? It is because some people set out to remain small or to remain at a level. So define your North Star because this is important. This is how you measure whether you are gaining momentum or you are just there. So the next thing on how to build this is fuel the initial momentum with early wins. Fuel it with early wins. In fact, try to win. There is a book I recently completed in January. It's called Profit First. For OMP, is I think is something that if you are interested in, OMP is Owners Management Program. You are building a business, and you know it's one of those books you should grab. Profit First. Sometimes when you don't make profit in a business, even though the business is doing well, Facebook had that, or Meta now, they had that issue. They are known, they've grown. In fact, Facebook grew, they grew into, I think, 1 million users in maybe 2 hours or so. I read something around like 1 million users in 2 hours, in less than 2 hours, when they launched out Facebook in 2000, and that would be 2000 and maybe 2008 or 9 or so, when it became Facebook. Some people said it was Facebook at some point. We are not sure of the real story or from the available data. Then when they became a structured company, I mean, current Facebook users now, half of the world are on Facebook. We are speaking 4 billion, and as at when they were about 3 billion, they were technically not making money. That was the problem they had with the United States Parliament, because they were now selling people's data. I mean, when you run an advertisement platform, it means that you have to tailor, I mean, get people's data, connect them to businesses. But um the problem was that there was no according to them, there was an issue of consent. So, but that's not where I'm going. What I'm saying is that fuel the momentum with early wins. Win. Try and win. When you win, it gives you an idea of what it really feels like to have a momentum. The next thing is establish a feedback loop. and iterate. Establish a feedback loop. We are talking about building the wave, and we are also talking about sustaining the wave. So, if you want to build to last, feedback loop is important. I have seen small businesses die because of lack of, it is not even that they do not have feedback loop, it is the lack of respect for feedback. And sometimes when you don't respect feedback, it is synonymous to not respecting your customers, because feedback, the data is important in the sense that it can communicate customers preferences, and it can also give you an idea of the changing landscape in the business you are doing. So if you want to build to last, if you don't want the momentum to die, we have seen businesses come and bam, they just died. How did they die? It was because feedback loop. People talk about the Nokia issue. How Nokia, because of lack of innovation, lack of this, lack of that. I mean, you can cite that as an example that even a company can be very big and very profitable. And in fact, as at when Nokia was in quote dying, they were still making profits. So this is very tricky in the sense that, you know, in maybe Africa or some are as small businesses, we always think that some of these things will have immediate impact on the finances. No, I have seen someone lose customers because people keep coming. I've spent so many years in the retail business, and I've seen customers come and say, you know what, we've not been able to park, we've not been able to, there is an issue with the parking space, there is, you know, uh, this, they're always giving suggestions basically about the parking space. And the owner of the business, well, yeah, sorry, we are sorry. That hypocrisy in the Nigerian hypocrisy, where you pretend as if you are listening to feedbacks, that eventually killed the business. Because currently, from what I knew, he eventually sold the business. So if you want to maintain or sustain your success, you have to prioritize feedback. In fact, what I teach as a small business consultant uh, is that as you are setting out, those are some of the structures you also have to put in place. You need to create a channel where your customers can reach out to you directly, and they must be able to do it freely. You see, as a small business, you don't need to be filtering out, using AI to filter out bad comments. Allow people to say that your food is tasty today. Allow people to say that, your packaging is too big for what is inside. Feel free. Allow people to give you 2 ratings out of 5. You are a small business, you need it. Sometimes small business think they are always looking for the credibility of the big business, but the big business didn't go to the top, they grew to the top. There was a time people complained, people said, oh, they were the worst in the industry. But do you know what? They didn't take it personal. In fact, a business does not have an emotion, so there should not be anything emotional. They should don't take anything personally. Establish a feedback loop in your life. Have people who you are accountable to, people who can tell you that, you know what, you have tried at this level, you have succeeded at this level. I think you also need to expand your businesses. That's what they call sustained success. With the way at which you are going, with the way at which you are, I look at some, financial services and the breakthroughs they've had so far, and I'm thinking, what next? I look at Money Point, I look at OPay, and I'm asking them what next. I'm just thinking in my mind because these guys have made tremendous, when they say the real financial inclusion, those are the main guys. Those are guys that are putting in effort into making sure that at least Nigerians are banked, and they are redefining what banking is. That kind of banking where you have to be queuing, you have to be, they are redefining that what banking is, because whether you say this or that, it is still bank. They may not perform, give you the full feel of what the establishment will give you. Letter of credit for your international transactions and all. You still need legacy banks. But that is not the problem of a small trader, a petty trader. So that is, feedback is important, and that's why I'm spending time here to sustain the momentum. Cultivate a culture of continuous learning and improvement. Kaizen is a Japanese principle of continuous improvement. Every time you go, every time, every week, at the end of the week, I'm not going to share my secret to you, but in this platform, I have told you about what they call reflection, self reflection. In fact, I recently encountered a popular quote by, I can't remember the name now, maybe Aristotle. No, it will be someone like Charles Spurgeon, because the name was long. He said that um, isolation or reflection, as they put it, is a gift when you yourself you put yourself into it. But he said it becomes a curse when you are forced. Maybe when some there are some situations in life that you will be under by default. You have to go into reflection. You have to go into isolation. So, but here, before all that happens, cultivate a culture of continuous learning and development, learning and improvement. Every month, I complete a course. Sometimes it could be as simple as how to how to survive in a hostile workplace. See, sometimes it looks like we know. In fact, one of the things I've recently discovered in my learning journey this year is that what we think is the problem is not the problem. We have heard that, oh, it is not the problem, it's how you look at it that is the problem. Many things people say, yeah, if what you are seeing does not change, then change what you are seeing. Something like, if you don't change what you are seeing will not change. The things like that, those things don't sink in. But I took a course and I really discovered that most of the time, what we think the problem really is actually not the problem. And the greatest challenge of mankind, and that is why you need self-reflection. You need to ask yourself a very deeper questions. Is this progress? Am I making progress, or am I making money? Is it just money? Is there an intersection between fulfillment, financial prosperity, and purpose in what I'm doing? You need to ask yourself questions. Does this represent progress for me? How can I sustain this progress? Do I need to continue what I was doing before and add some more? What are the other things I need to add to build this wave? What exactly can I do in addition to create a movement out of what I'm doing? And you discover that there are a lot of things you don't know. You write them down. Do it journaling. When we were doing the mind series, we talked about reflective journaling. See, what Minecraft Africa is doing is to build brick by brick, mortar by mortar. And that is why sometimes you need to go back to this session again. Or if you miss a session, you need to go and try and listen to it. It's brick by brick, mortar by mortar. You need to do reflective journaling. Nobody just picks a book and read because they want to read. It is curiosity. It is the awareness that, as much as you know, the realization that dawns on you is that you don't know jack. Everybody that is a voracious reader, they are a voracious reader because You may think, oh, they know a lot, they are versatile, but the real thing inside is that they are reading because the more they read, the more empty, the more um ignorant they feel. The more ignorant they feel, because there are different kinds of ignorance. There is willful ignorance, and that's the worst form of ignorance. You've read something about this, about that, maybe an important area of your life, and you discover that it looks like you are not sure. It looks like you don't really know this thing. Don't just let it die. That's willful ignorance. The reason why somehow God is calling your attention to it is because you need to know. So build strong relationships and collaboration. That's how to sustain the wave. You remember there was a partnership between, in fact, we learned that Isaac Newton worked, both Isaac Newton and Henry Ford, at some point they worked, In fact, many of these people worked. The Carnegies, who were the financial powerhouse of those days, the Carnegies, they were into rail system, you know, and in fact they were one of those that tried electric rail. So they build collaborations, bring key people into your life. When I was young, particularly when I was in my undergraduate days, I had gone to a seminar where um the person shared that, as young people now, try and make friends from different departments, have a lawyer as a friend, have an accountant, have an architect, have a this, that this is the cheapest way to network. Don't be looking for big people. They don't have your time because apparently you have nothing to offer. As at that time, the only thing you can offer is your physical strength. Help them carry bag. That that these your friends that you are underrating, that accountant, that nurse, that doctor, be very good friends with them. You people should grow together. Yeah, before you know it, when you are in a real life issue, you want to start a business, you will get cheap consultation. Sometimes it can even be free. I'm telling you, when I had it, it was like a code was cracked. It was like someone just cracked the code. And young people, I'm also relating that advice to you. There is this thing about mentor, looking up to big people, mentor. Yeah, you can learn so much from them, but networking is also key. Networking does not necessarily mean um you have to connect to, a very big person, a very rich. I mean, most of the time what people call networking is connecting to rich people, not necessarily to wise people. So you need to understand what you need in your life determines the kind of network you want to build. I don't need a musician in my life. I am never going to do I'm talking maybe music as a service in maybe church. You just sing and over. I'm never going to do music. Uh, uh, I mean, there are some things that they are just not my interest. So I don't need to invest in certain relationships. I don't need to be going to concert to understand, because I don't plan on holding a music uh, Afrobeat concert. You understand? So that's what we're saying. Strong relationship. Let it start from your friends. Let it start from the horizontal level. That is always the strongest. My brother here, I know he can give up so much for me, you know that someone, see, some of these things we talk about, success, communal success, what we talk about, that building a community is not always about people who are accomplished. No, it's about people who are also in the process with you. These are people who can give up a lot for you, because for the past 15 years, almost 15 years now, we have been together. We've been through thick and thin. We can give, these are people that can give a lot for you. They can say, you know what, you go, I will stay here. When you are, these are the kinds of people this is what they call relationships. This is what the Bible says, that a brother, a friend like a brother, a friend closer than a brother. Not you go to one seminar, you are collecting 15 numbers. For what, please? For what? People you cannot offer anything for. You can't find you. I mean, you need to. In fact, I believe that if you are collecting people's contact, in your mind, you're already thinking of, this is what I'm going to offer, and it's going to be attractive to them. And this is where the relationship will go. But when we are talking of life relationship, your business is about to collapse. You need 1 billion naira. Who can give up 1 billion? Do you think there's anybody who has money they are not using? They just have the money lying around. Maybe banks. In fact, banks don't have money now. That's why they charge high interest, because they have to muzzle it out from another place. So nobody has free money around. But there are your friends. There are people who can say, for because of you, I would deny myself of this pleasure this season. I would deny my family of this trip, because I would rather invest in your progress than carry my family to Barbados or to Caribbeans. That is relationship and collaboration. Develop systems and processes for scalability. I talked about this thing. What some people, the business some people are doing now is not scalable. I'm telling you, it's like, look, is not. In fact, there is no vision, apart from the fact that some do not have vision to scale, whether scale across or scale along. Scaling does not necessarily mean you have to do the same thing for all through your life. Dr. Mike Adenuga, he started by importing radio, all this thing we call Android stuff, car Android. He started by importing AC. Most of the cars our fathers drew, all these head of states, all these Peugeot, Mercedes Benz, they don't have AC, air conditioning system, factory made. You have to wire them. That was what he started with. Today, Mike Adenuga has about 40 businesses. In fact, in real estate, he is one of the biggest silent people in real estate. You will not see him say, come and buy land. He doesn't buy or sell land. He owns most structures in Ikoyi, all these 15, 30, 40, flats, offices. He is in telecommunications. He's in oil and gas, corn oil. He's in in fact, the oil and gas, both the upstream, downstream. He's in multiple business. So what we are saying is scalable. Be whether you scale along or you scale across. Eh? If you are doing a business where you are selling shawarma, you must be thinking of, how can I scale a shawarma business? When there are almost like every corner, there are people making shawarma every corner. How can I scale a shawarma business? I have an idea for you. It's better you quit the thought that maybe you will now open you will now go and be competing in every street, nooks and crannies. You sit down and think of, what exactly do shawarma, makers, what exactly do they need to make a shawarma? Is it the coal? Is it the iron? I think there is this iron thing that rotates. Is it the sausages? Then you go into it. Sell products, not time. Sell products, not your time. That's how to scale. When you say, so you can say you are into hospitality, food and hospitality. Whatever what you are doing is that you are selling shawarma sausages. That is how you can scale that kind of business. So when we talk about building the wave, sustaining momentum, making progress, that is what we are talking about. Not doing one thing for, just sit down for, just be in one place. Even if you are a civil servant, you must be thinking of whatever giftings you have, how can it be scalable? Go and do a course. Go and do a course on a link. Go to all these platform, educational platform. Register yourself as a tutor. Develop a course and sell. When you sell multiple platforms, go to YouTube, teach for free. Be teaching for free. Before you know it, you'll be building networks. You'll be building. That's how to scale. You will now be charging 30 minutes. You'll be charging 50,000 per 30 minutes to train a child, or to prepare people for maybe international exams. So we scare people. Is that's success. People who have known you 10, 15 years will can definitely say that, but boy, they like a teaching. Eventually, he made it. Because what, you have built the momentum. You have built it, you have sustained that success. And when they say sustaining success, that's the most difficult part, because your enemy is your last success. It's very difficult. There is a is I don't want to go into psychology. There is a relapse. There is a process called relapse. After a success, imagine now when some of you finish secondary school, it looked like, oh, it's now university. The 3 months or 4 months or 6 months that some spent at home, they didn't read jack. They didn't even open a newspaper. When some people finish university, BSc, they thought that was the end. Whether first class or not. Eh? So that's the thing. Then I say, no, I'm not master's degree now. I'm not. I know. There's that relapse. There's this. What is done. It is finished. No, you are not Jesus Christ. It's not done. It can't be done now. If people don't even retire these days again, people expire. They do until they discover that, what I can only offer now is my mental power. They can no longer walk. They are now in wheelchair. They are now my one of my spiritual mentor, Rayad Bonki. I think Rayad Bonki spent, if I'm not wrong, 88 years or something. Every morning on Facebook, he used to have this prayer. This prayer that every churches in Nigeria now do. So, and I know this man, Billy Graham, 100 years too. He was on wheelchair, but he was still doing the work of ministry. So people don't retire. The idea of retire, no, it doesn't exist now again. So that's what I'm saying. So lastly, practice consistent communication and transparency. Yes, that's very, very important. And prioritize your well-being to prevent burnout. You know what? Every all of these things, sustaining your success, building your success, adding to your success, building the wave. In fact, coming to this seminar is because you are okay mentally. And the definition of health now is beyond physical wellness. There's now mental wellness, there's psychological wellness. It's a total state of complete wellness. So that is what we are talking about. So you need to be well, you need to be fit to be able to carry out this, to be able to build momentum, to be able to sustain the success. So just to recap, define your North Star. Know that you are going to, in the next 60 years of your life, you want to build a family business. You want to build a business that your family can continue. In other words, that means, let me just give you an idea of the thinking behind that. That means that you need to build a business. You need to sort of train your children to gain interest. It's 50-50, but you need to make an effort to sustain. Whether they have interest or they don't have interest, you need to have a family office. You need to look for, if you are single, you need to look for a woman that also shares the idea of entrepreneurship. You know, you also need to put some structures in place as you begin the business. You need to be buying land, buying big land, because you have a vision for, at some point you will be supplying the entire country. That's what they call vision. So you need to define your North Star. Eh? Some, in fact, lately now, when you see people selling land, it looks like they've already bought the entire land in the country now. But I used to say that these ones, that when we want to buy, God will create another land for us to buy. When you look at Lagos to Ibadan along the express, people they've bought. In fact, you wonder where they got the money from. People are buying up to 500 hectares of land. Some very big companies, rather than pay the excess in form of tax, they will use it to buy land. They will use it to buy building, and so, but the game is the game. It's fair. It's business. So, but what we are saying is, have a vision, break it down, because You can only measure your progress by your vision. Someone who wants to make shoes cannot compare himself with someone who just wants to be a musician, who wants to be a stringed artist, or someone who wants to um, be a professor. So you need to define your North Star. Fuel the initial momentum with early win, play to win. That's what he's saying here. Establish a feedback loop. I talked about that. When you are starting small, when you are building, what people are saying about you is important, because in the real sense, you are not all that important. There is no product, there's no product in this world as we speak today that we only have one player. I'm telling you. Even in Nigeria, we have MTN, we have Airtel, we have Glo. When we talk of cars, talk of houses, different people can build for you. Talk of iron, different companies are into steel, different so there's no, so you are not all alpha and omega. And the only things that are monopolized are things that God has given us freely. Nobody provides oxygen for us, so it is God that does that. And I said, cultivate a culture of continuous learning. Always learn. Finish a course every month. Read a book always. Start from somewhere. The best way to develop a reading culture, and I hope that hopefully maybe the end of the year or next year we'll also talk about this thing, because it looks like we've been telling you what to do, but we have not taught you how to do it. Nobody, no, my our co-founder here has read a lot of books. In fact, at some point, he will sacrifice his pocket money for books, and he will joyfully. You will see the happiness. He will joyfully do it. There is so much joy. He looks like food. He, it's not. It didn't start that day. It didn't start like that. But the truth is that there is a way. It's a culture. When learning becomes a culture for you, you become restless when you have not learned anything. There was a day I was extremely tired. I came from work early and I was watching movie, 2 hour movie. And in the middle of the movie, I'm like, my God, this is 2 hours that I am wasting. I just felt really unhappy that a whole 2 hours of my life is being wasted. But I mean, the justification was that I was already mentally tired, so I needed that rest. But this waste of time, my close people, they know there's never a time I don't have anything doing that you say, are you free? I will say proceed. That question in fact lately is becoming irritating, because how can I not be free? I'm a young man. I am ambitious. How can I be free rather? Be free doing what? Sitting on social
How
media.
can I not
Even
be? How can I not be busy?
how can I not be busy? Even my time on social media is to catch up with Nigerian news, to catch up with the political landscape, which is also part of the versatility we are talking about. Followed NESG, Nigeria Economic Summit Group. What is the inflation number saying? Where is it biting people the most? Where is I really don't understand how people can be free. Like, you are nobody, you've not made a name for yourself, and you are free. Ah, honestly, I find it unsettling. But I don't say this publicly so that it doesn't look like one is talking too much. But I don't understand how someone will say they are free. I'm free this entire weekend. Like, okay, so like, what exactly is the plan? No plan. Just at home in the couch. You know what people dream of? They sleep in the couch. They are dreaming of a life where another person is laboring. They just want to enjoy the process of labor. As we speak currently, the richest black man is in a meeting. But you are dreaming of just being in a couch taking coffee, or being in one jacuzzi. Then when you leave that, the life people admire, you will never see the point where they will say they will go to work. It is just always once I leave the room, I watch Netflix. Once I go shopping, I come, you never see all that kind of Instagram live where you now see them, oh, they now entered office or they now entered warehouse or production factory where they are now saying, you know what, guys, let's do it. No, it's always about how they are on the yacht, how that's the life. That's life for them. That's not true, people. My beloved people, that's not true. No, that's not true. Nobody, even people who are, in fact, let's not even go there. So cultivate a continuous, learn, build relationships, hold your childhood friend. Don't despise them. Don't throw them away. Call people. You know, now people don't call again, but maybe their birthdays, their when you remember, call, reach out. Don't those are your roots. Don't cut them off. Develop systems. Systems means build what businesses that even if you are not there, people will not steal from you. You can account. That's systems and processes for scalability. So in other words, do just be in a business where there is progress. Imagine people, there was a time they were selling CD, compact disc. Imagine you were into that business. Ah, ah. Imagine you had invested billions of nights and you said, you know what, this is the future. Honestly, I've not even seen a compact disc for the past 3 years. Ah, there was a time too in Lagos traffic, they hawk some of this the compact. Now what you see is USB, car chargers, magnetic chargers. In all of the, imagine selling pin that pin charger. Maybe some old women still use some of those things, but or phones where the battery is removable. Imagine you are in the business of making batteries. The one we put in our mouth, whether it has charger. Ah, so do business that has future. That's what we are saying. Do business that you can scale, whether across and along. That's a different topic on its own. You know, then practice consistent communication and transparency, and at the same time, be fit. Be fit. I recommend jogging 10 kilometers per week. I do that myself. As a man, as a woman, you need to be fit. There are some things, there are some of your life's purpose you'll not be able to fulfill because you have lost your health. I'm telling you, there are some things that God will lay in your heart, but as it is dropping, as you are looking at your legs, you are looking at your body, you are looking at your BP reading, you're it's like a dead on arrival. You have the idea, you have the so please be fit. That is the will of God for us. And I hope that I have not wasted your 1 hour 5 minutes on this show. Thank you very much. So my concluding thought is that building the wave is not a one-time event. It's an ongoing commitment to strategic action, adaptation, fostering a thriving environment where success can flourish and be sustained. This is a wave. This is an example of a wave. You know what this thing can do? It can swallow. You see, when you go to the beach, you see how the wave runs. It gathers its strength. Then it runs. Woo, wham. But we are not only talking about building now, we are also talking about sustaining. So not like we just come bam, then the next one will be after 5, 10 years. You know. So that's uh, that's where we put the conversation to a stop today. Thank you very much.
Wow. you know, as as you were talking, I was I was lost in thoughts. I have pictured a whole lot of things as I picked my device and I was just like, I've drawn a lot of. I, if I'm to write script about tonight's session, I'll be producing a series up to season 6.
Mm.
I'm telling you. Thank you so much. Yes, Thank you so much. That was a fantastic session tonight. Now, the challenging thing is this: I will be I have a speaking engagement, and I don't know. Last week, last week Tuesday, I started studying about uh Cos Chris, Mr. Cosmos Maduka. That's the name of the company he co-founded with his wife. Then Cos Chris, and I
Mm.
started studying about him. When you mentioned him, I was like, wow, this man don't reach here too. I want to go and speak somewhere, and this man is part of the example. He just dropped on my mind. I started studying about him again. In fact, they said about the man, they said is a man that converts $1 to, is it not $300 million or $800 million? $1, no, 1 billion. They say is a man that converts $1. If he founded the business with 300, maybe is it 300 naira or so? Yes,
200 naira.
300, 200. Thank you.
Mm.
Founded a business,
And
and the
you remember
business,
he had, for everybody that didn't align with his vision, he just left them. He co-founded with his
ah,
brother. He said, "No, no, no, this is not where we are going." Those brothers, they are still rich, but the North Star, the man knew that no, this is not what we are talking about. We are not just talking about importing spark plug. Now he has bought a company that makes those parts for Toyota. Do you know what that means? That's a crazy idea. That's a bold. That's like those are the people that can say I started from the scratch to the top. He owns a company, a Nigerian owning a Japanese company that now makes for Toyota and Ford. The same man that started, at the limelight of his business, he was importing finished cars, finished products.
yes,
He was one of those that started importing engine oil, all this engine
yes,
oil. Like, in fact, people only know automobile. He's into biostat because we share the complex with them in what they call Agege Motor Road after Oshodi towards Mushin. I used to see him when he comes for board meetings sometimes. Biostat. They produce paint that pay. In fact, I can say over 80% of paints for cars he is importing them in Nigeria. All these car paint, when you go to the chemicals, maybe not all the components, but the chemicals, in everything is in fact, I could say 50% of the supply chain or anything you need, even a foot mat, car foot mat, like that's how you think. That's a progressive mind. That's what they call the momentum, building the momentum. The car you are sitting down there now in Nigeria, every car you have in Nigeria is either the tire is from Kosharis Group because they import tires as well. They import rims. Is either your rim is for Koshari. There's always a part in that car that is from the man. The same thing we has medical equipment that is also biostat. All this ultrasound, very big, expensive medical equipment. So that's what I talked about when you say uh um um develop system and processes for scalability along. That scalability along. The automobile is across. So scalability along. And currently now he's trying to build a institute for entrepreneurship, something like a formal structure, for entrepreneurship, young people. So many things, many things. He's also into real estate. He's into aviation now. There
yes.
are
You're right.
there is a level of wealth you have where it will not be across again. It will not be
Everything
along.
become possible.
Everything become possible. So he's a man
Now,
I
there is something I really okay. You are still talking, right? You can go ahead. You can go
I'm
ahead.
done. I'm done with what I'm saying.
Okay. Now, there is something that baffles me.
Hmm.
You know, by the virtue of what we do, we interface with a lot of students and graduates now. My focus
Hmm.
recently have been the graduates now. With the students, you do a foundational work. With the graduates, you do a reconstruction or a correctional work. Yes, it's correctional. See, with
Correctional.
the students, you do a constructional work, constructional with the students. With the graduate, you do a correctional work. Sir, this week alone, I have
Hmm.
met with graduates, I've received messages, I've been called, I've I have to be counseling. Now,
Hmm.
there is, in as much as education still remain the best legacy, education, but academics is
Hmm.
not,
Hmm.
where it cannot deliver what is expected to deliver.
Hmm.
A lot of people are caught in the ego of I'm a graduate, I finished first class, I finished 2-1, but the life is not going anywhere. And the deceit in our institution now has kept people in their shames. And how do I
Hmm.
mean? A graduate, and all of them are out there now looking for who will employ them online. Aside your course of study that gave you first class, what do you know? What can you do? Why should
What
I
can you
pay you
do?
to do what? You have all the years, 5 years in school. You did not learn any soft skill. You did not learn any hard skill. You are buried in your course. And now, sir, you know when you are talking about CD, I was talking in a place during the week to come and speak on venturing into tech, breaking into tech from any background. That was the topic I was speaking on. And I saw these students, there are students in their 100 or thereabout. And I told them what you said about CD. In fact, we are just in spirit tonight. And I asked them that my TV at home is a smart TV. I cannot remember or imagine. Even home theater now, the era of home theater is gone. We are now using soundbar. I was in an
Yes.
hotel in Lagos. The soundbar is just something flat like this. Sir, the sound there can tear your roof.
Hmm.
Gone are the days where we have Uber, where we have about 6 speakers. You say you have home theater, then you'll be disturbing your
Deck.
neighbor.
Say deck.
Soundbar, I mean,
There is the Twitter. There is the bus. You have to like
eh, eh,
four
I
boxes,
mean,
four wooden boxes.
I
Take up space.
mean, come on now. Soundbar now that you just clip to your TV or you
Yeah.
put it on your shelf and it's doing the job. Can I shock you? I wanted to get a chandelier. I wanted to get a chandelier and I got there. They just told me, "Did you notice this?" I said, "Hey, this one." When they gave me the features, the chandelier has fan, it has Bluetooth to play music. Sir, I said, I don't even need soundbar. I need sound chandelier. it does it has fan, switch it on, blade will come out, chandelier will give light, and it is a LED powered. I said, but I use solar. This thing which he said is suitable. Every power there is not up to 80 watts. I said, really?
Wow.
Sir,
That one is that those are where that's where the world is going now. That's where the world is going now. Less, it's part
yes,
of SDG, you know, Sustainable Development Goals, energy. So it's sustainable energy, renewable energy, low power. That's why you see that new cars now, they don't have that V8, the one that will just be removing smoke. The newer cars
yes,
now
there
have
is global warming.
smaller
There
engines
is
and they are faster, efficient. efficient use consumptions of power use. How is it being put? But I'm following you, sir. I'm following you.
So, sir, the thing is this: is that time because school is another scam, not a scam like those unthoughtful ones. So I'm not talking about that one. The scam I'm talking about now is that school does not necessarily make you wealthy. School does not necessarily make you fulfill your destiny. It does not
Mm.
necessarily make you fulfill your dreams. You will build it. And if you don't have ingredients to build, just as the one we are giving you tonight, you will be disappointed in life. Chris Maduka now, Cosmos Maduka now was a dropout. Oh, then now he has many honorary doctorates.
No, he didn't even go to school. He's not a job. He
Yes.
didn't go.
So
But
from
he
primary
has,
education,
he, yeah, he didn't.
God. But sir, I heard about the man. I don't want to say it on the air because I heard it from a very reputable source. I was listening to a conference and the person said it. So I don't want to quote the person and I don't want to say because we are live now and people get to hear us. So I don't want to say something that is very controversial. But what they said about that man and some professors, I think that was a meeting in a place. Professors are gathered and using economic theory to question someone that has proof. And so I told them that I'm telling you what I made me billionaire. You are questioning it with Adam Smith theory. Who knows Adam
Yeah,
Smith? They said he was talking, and they were questioning that this does not go in line with the principle of economics by Keynesian. I said, I'm telling you what
I
I made me
know, I
billionaire.
know. I think I have an idea. He was at some point. Was it this Herbert Wigwe? Was he Access Bank? Was he Access Bank? He was one. He was once a director of credit
Yes,
in
you are right.
the a
Access
part of
Bank.
the board. Yeah.
Access
So
Bank.
I think he
It was part of it.
revolutionized their credit system, their credit system, something like that. So that's one thing. Is Nigerian icon of street credibility. He's someone that
My God.
uh is when you say your dream has become tangible, you know, you wake up and you see that this is where you are going. That's an example of that man, and he's big. He will be clocking 70 very soon, and he's not
Sir,
retiring. That's one thing. So this is a for me. I think he has fought a very good fight. He has done
you
extremely well, extremely well. There are some people who
uh,
are even richer, but the prosperity has no purpose. They can't even teach. They can't mentor. There's no track. There's no because maybe largely is a wayo wayo kind of thing. But
you're right.
uh, I don't. Sometimes I let's not make this about the man because we will be robbing some of our listeners the opportunity to go and learn from him. You know,
Yes.
credibility for him is credibility is that relationship, that network. Most of the time, the people that will help you in your life, in your career, that will give you that breakthrough, are not the people, are not all these big people. They are your friends. They are your friends. They are those that you grew up together. Those are the people that sometimes will make way for you. My last job in Nigeria, it was through a recommendation from a friend. So he said, you know what, I think you are a you are a manager in a de facto, how do they call it, de facto manager. There's this job. I think you should apply for it. You will get it. And obviously I didn't have enough experience to for I mean I'm not so sure, but I think they were looking for maybe 10 years or someone who has also been a manager, but when I got there and I said this is what I can offer, I got the job. But one thing is I heard from a friend. I heard from a friend. he the friend encouraged. In fact, when I was sending my CV, I said the process was becoming cumbersome. I was like, this job, is it just to fulfill all righteousness? You know, so sometimes the people who are running around, they are oh, this one, that one, they are listening to everybody, they are following everybody, they are doing and that is good, but don't deprioritize your root, your childhood friends. Those
Can
are
I
your
can I come in?
yes, sir. Yes, sir, you can come in, sir.
Now, now we have met personally, mentors. I've
Yes.
learned conference, trainings, everything. There was a time I was teaching my guys, my core guys, those one closer to me, and I was showing them a diagram of relationship. Maybe we are going to say that in another series, so I don't want to do that tonight. But now, in closing, you said something about people don't want to retire. And when you were talking, something came to my mind, and I said, why people retire is because there is no longer value in them to discharge. They have to retire. Nobody retire value. Nobody frown at value.
Mm,
Not until solar energy, clean and renewable energy came to stay. Generator. Well, I got to an apartment, and I was marvel at the rate at which they are using solar energy in that new area. I'm to move to that area, and I saw a lot of solar. I said, really? People are tired of generator. Really? Things are moving very fast. And in the day you no longer have any value to render, you are liable to be retired. And that retirement is a sign that you don't have value again. You don't have value again. Please. And there is this popular quote: anyone that stopped learning is old, either at 20 or 80. That is why we show up. That is why we show up here every Friday, every week. Sheyi is still in his car, probably coming from work, going home. He stayed back to make the session possible. Here we are, making the session possible. Whether convenient or not convenient, we don't really care. Make your life count. Make your life possible. I jammed this quote about 10 years ago, and it has redefined my life. No one is going to hand me success. I must go out to get it myself.
yes.
You are the one that gave me the book. I think, were you the one? Daily Manna. Somebody gave me Daily Manna as a gift around 2014, 2015. And since that time, when I get to Lagos, I go and buy Daily Manna. I don't even care whether it's current or not current. Daily Manna is the only devotional that caters for the general well-being of human existence, spirit, soul, and body. Daily Manna, I have a lot of them. I pack them. I still have them. Daily Manna of 10 years ago. Ask me, I will give you. Daily Manna. Our Daily Manna. By one Igbo minister like this. Sir, inside Daily Manna, there will be many quotes. There will be food for thought. There will be many things. That is a devotional. Your devotion is not only Genesis chapter 1 to 2. See a man diligent in his business. He will stand before king and not me men. Sir, that when I was meditating about that thing, and I heard a subtle voice of God telling me, he said, do you know that standing before kings is the least? He said, what about working with kings? He said, what about dining with kings? He said, what about
Mm,
sitting with kings? I said, yes. Sir, I started learning, and it taught me, if I'm to teach that in my mentorship session, if I'm to teach you that this thing I talk about, you need to see diagram. I said, so the least thing is that you have a value that will invite you before the king. The fact that you stand before king, you have come to share your proposal. You have come to give us what you can offer. We have not even accepted you.
mm,
And some people are still falling short of standing before kings.
mm. Hmm. I don't think I can hear you.
What have you be launching a mentorship program, please be guys. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So, please, please, we just want to close tonight. I want to beg you. This stream will be there on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Go and watch it again and take step. Please take step. Please take step. See, take step. If wisdom means knowledge applied, if you want to be wise, you will practice what you learn, you will do what you learn. That is wisdom. Wisdom means knowledge applied. Wisdom means knowledge applied. Thank you so much, because we have come to the end of the session tonight. And I told you that one of our mentors used to say, John Obindi, that remember that you are on your way to make the rest of your life the best of your life. We are
Yes.
only a partner in your progress, but the bulk of the works lie on your hands. Do what you need to do. Sheyi, do you have any closing remark for them? Just a statement as we close it.
Yeah. Nothing much than to continue to encourage our people. Please, I beg you, like we said, circumstances don't create men. Men create circumstances. If you don't like what you're experiencing, you go out and get what you want. You create your circumstance. And it's going to require hard work. It's going to require the time. Don't be lazy. It's too early to be lazy. It's too early to be investing in frivolities. So that is what I can tell you. And the best investment you can give to yourself is to invest in yourself, not buying houses. Invest in yourself because you are the goose that lays the egg. God bless you.
Thank you so much. I put the comment there. You are too late to be lazy.
Mm,
You are too late to be lazy. That's a final word from Sheyi. You are too late to be lazy. I refine the statement. You are just too late to be lazy. You are too late. Guys have gone. We now we need we need we need more than we need miracle to catch up. That's why we are creating our own miracle to catch up. You are too late to be lazy. You are too late to be lazy. Please begin to say that to yourself. When you wake up in the morning, when you are about your work, about your activity each day, say to yourself, I am too late to be lazy. And once again, I say to you that you are on your way to make the rest of your life the best of your life. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We love you. This is Winning from the Mind with Olanipe Oluwa. Thank you so much. Bye for now.